solution going forward.
Well, I think this is a little bit what Nancy was bringing up, and Doug, didn't mean to kind of hijack your statement there, but I think part of it is we need the city council to actually start working on getting the implementation ordinance done, so we can actually start recruiting and getting new commissioners to be able to join the commission.
It's not going to happen.
No, but I mean, I think the problem is, and that's why we're trying to do this, is do we want to have a point where we get to the point where the commission is unable to work because we don't have quorum and there's law enforcement oversight stops in San Diego? I don't think that's what anybody wants. So we're trying to do what we can to make some changes, but it's, there are no good solutions, to be honest, right now, I don't think.
Yeah, because we've always had a problem with the city council coming up with the candidates. I mean, that's nothing new.
Yeah, but the issue, Joe, is the city council right now cannot appoint anybody because the mayor no longer has the ability to make recommendations for them to appoint. And when Measure G passed, they can't make any additional appointments without an ordinance. And so to appoint anybody else, they would have to do that by ordinance. And they're doing the implementation ordinance to do additional interim commissioners. Would require that they adopt a interim ordinance to appoint additional interim commissioners. And we've been told by Monica Montgomery Steppe that they're willing to do that only as a last resort.
Sure.
And so, okay. And so our issue is that until we have a implementation ordinance in place so we can appoint new commissioners, we're kind of stuck with the people that we have now, and we may have difficulty reaching a quorum. Other boards and commissions in the city of San Diego have addressed this issue by putting in their bylaws that a quorum is a majority of the seats that are filled, as opposed to ours, which says that it is a quorum consists of a majority of the maximum number of members of the commission. So basically a quorum is a majority of the seats instead of a majority of the seats that are filled. And so my recommendation is that, and Robert's rules allows organizations to establish a quorum however they see fit. The default is a majority of the members, which would be the same thing as a majority of the seats filled. But some organizations do have a majority of the seats. Some organizations have a specific number as opposed to a percentage. In the percentage, I've seen organizations where the percentage is as low as 2% for very large organizations that have only a small number of people that actually attend their meetings. I've seen organizations that have a percentage, but also a minimum number that must be present in order to conduct business. And so there's a lot of different ways that organizations can establish a quorum. And so my recommendation I would like to put forward is that the requirement for a quorum shall be a majority of the filled seats of the commission, with a minimum of 7 commissioners being required to conduct business. And so that means that if we were to fall below a certain number, say we were to fall 10, for example, if we were to have only 10 commissioners, a majority in that case would be 6, but under what I'm proposing, there would still have to be 7 present, so that if the numbers fall even greater, we would still need to have at least 7 commissioners present to conduct business.
So Joe, he's kicking the can down the road instead of trying to change the minds of the people in city council and do some research and try and get people lined up who would join us now. We're not going to make this
Nancy, that is not
better.
true. Nancy, that is not true.
It's
We have
not going to
made,
get any better, Doug. We're not going to have people leaving, 4 of them want to, and have our load get lighter. We can't bring people on in.
okay, but Nancy, we have
months
told
from
you,
now.
we have addressed it. You have not been on the meetings with the city council members, okay? And we can, and this does not preclude us from continuing to push city council members, but it allows us to be able to conduct business so we don't have a situation where we, like 2 weeks ago, we had to adjourn, or could be in a situation where we're not able to conduct business at all. And the community would blame us because we refused to change our bylaws to allow us to conduct business. And so this does not preclude us from continuing to make efforts to have the city council adopt an interim ordinance. And I think if we drop too much further, I think we can put pressure on them. But this is at least an interim measure that allows us to ensure that we have the ability to conduct the business in the interim.
Yeah, Nancy, I agree with you. This, this is a concern, but also I think that we need to take action. And what Doug is proposing is something that we're going to have to do, because I can see us start losing more and more commissioners. And as far as the city council with the ordinance and so on, it's going to be like watching paint dry. So it's going to take time. And we've got to be able to do our business, because I don't want to get into a position, right, frankly, as we did the other night by Brandon not having a quorum, because that's not fair to the people who scheduled their time and so on. And we need to get this. We need to do our business, and this is a way to be able to do it. So I'm in favor with Doug, what Doug is supporting.
I understand, Joe, and I support it too in that sense, but I don't support that being the only thing we do. And I don't see and hear people understanding we can't wait for this ordinance. It has meet and confer between now and the time it happens. And you're looking at a long time. We can't go on like this, Doug. We have to do something now to, in addition to what you're proposing here, we have to be more proactive and create a database and say, these are people who will help us, because we won't be able to keep up with what we've got coming in. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. And I don't know what minimum number would cause, Council Member Montgomery Steppe to be willing to look at an interim ordinance. I know that part of her concern is that her office has gotten pressure that they want to, they don't like interim at all. And they're having a lot of pressure that they want things to be permanent, and they don't want, they don't like the fact that we have an interim commission to begin with, I guess is the point.
I thought we'd gotten rid of the word interim.
Well, we don't have interim in the commission, but it is a de facto interim commission, because we only serve until such time as there are permanent commissioners or appointed. So we don't have the term interim, but we do have, it is a de facto interim commission.
I understand that, Doug, but can we please stop using that word? It's insulting.
And but my point is that is the word that some members of the community are using, and so it's part of, and that's part of the reason why there's hesitancy there. I will say that in talking to Andrea St. Julian, she said that she's not sure there would be community opposition. The community opposition is against the current members of the CRB and not having appointed ones. But then it comes into the issue of who selects the new members, and how are they going to be selected and so forth. So it's not an easy answer.
Sorry, I was gonna say, if I could jump in just to add to a little bit what Doug was saying, Nancy, we aren't just doing one thing. We have tried multiple efforts. We've sent out memos to the city council. We've had meetings with everyone on public safety within the neighborhood. We've explained what the situation is, why some people are wanting to resign and step off. So we've made it very clear what the consequences are, I believe. And I think also on top of that, we've explained what some options are available. And I think, unfortunately, as Doug had kind of referenced, right now, there's not the political will to make changes. And again, I would go back to what I said earlier, is I would rather us make this change so the commission can continue to provide the oversight for the city of San Diego than rather have complaints and investigations stop. And then we basically just don't do anything. I don't think that's what the city wants. I don't think that's what the community wants. So we aren't just doing this one thing and then stopping. We've been trying to work at it from all angles. The issue that I think Doug rightly points out, we don't know exactly how we're supposed to be selecting potential new commissioners yet. So until we get that done, the community, I think, would be a little bit frustrated if we suddenly just start picking people without having any public notice of how we're going to do that, what the criteria are, and then suddenly there's new commissioners on the commission. So we're not just doing this one thing. I mean, I know we've tried to mention this in previous meetings, but I think it's important for everyone to know that we have tried multiple options to make sure the city and all city officials are aware of what the concerns are and what we're trying to do to fix it. And this is one of many things that we're trying to do to fix it.
So Doug, what is your recommendation and our motion?
Okay, so my recommendation is that we change it so that it says the requirement for a quorum shall be a majority of the filled seats on the commission, with a minimum of 7 being necessary for a quorum to be present.
Okay, I will make that motion for approval.
Okay.
Over.
Okay, and is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Actually, I'll let Marty do it because Marty's officially on rules.
Yeah, speak up, Marty.
Okay. Well, you are officially on rules too, but because you ex officio, if you vote, you're official.
Okay, discussion.
Okay. Seeing that, no, I'm trying to respond to texts from work rather than doing this. So any further discussion? Let's go ahead and do the vote. All those in favor of the motion to recommend to the commission that we amend the bylaws to specify that the requirement for a quorum shall be a majority of the filled seats on the commission with a minimum of 7 members being present in order to conduct business. You want to call the roll, Charmaine?
Yes, thank you. Committee Chair Pitts.
Oh,
Are you frozen?
oh no, I didn't understand what you were saying. So you said me?
Yes.
Then yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
No.
Commissioner Craven,
Yes.
Commissioner Workman,
Yes.
and Commissioner Dutt is absent. Chair Hilpert.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Do you have what you need, Charmaine, to send out the notice today because it has to go out by tomorrow, or do you want me to email that to you?
Yes, email it to me and I'll send it out as soon as I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, let me ask a question here. Charmaine, are you still being paid?
She is.
She is. Okay, good.
Yes, I'm being paid, thank God.
Okay. So that's not going to stop or be interim or whatever. Okay, good.
Oh, the council approved me as the interim back in April.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, good.
Now, she has not been volunteering all the time.
Now the rest of us, that's a whole nother story, but yeah.
Let me also ask you, are we all the commissioners right now, are we all interim? And they're going to come up with a whole new slate?
Presumably, I mean, the ordinance, the charter says that we serve as the initial members and that the city council shall adopt an ordinance to determine how members are selected. So it depends on what that ordinance says. And that's to be determined. So it does not preclude current members from serving on the continuing to serve on the commission after the implementation ordinance is done. I think that the intent is to come forward with the names of 25, assuming that's the number they stick with, 25 commissioners, which may or may not include members who are currently on the commission. But I think the intent is to come forward with a entire new slate of 25 people, half of them designated for a 1-year term and the other for 2-year terms to get the 2-year term staggered implemented. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess so. So basically, we're all Christmas help.
Essentially, yeah, but it doesn't mean that you can't be hired on full time.
Yeah, hired on full time, at no pay. I'm really excited about that.
Charmaine, do commissioners get a 4% increase as well?
Yes, of course. You're wonderful.
Anyway, I think we're going beyond the scope of the agenda today, and since it is an official committee meeting, we probably ought to adjourn. Then we can.
Okay, right.
Yes.
I
So-
have a question, Doug. What exactly can we do, or will you guys allow? Because you guys seem to be like stonewalling any other activity than what you've been doing, and it's not working. It's not getting any results. What can we do short of all of us resigning together? I just don't understand how you think we're going to solve this going forward. This ordinance they're talking about is not going to happen in the next year.
Nancy, I think it's unfair to say that, that the CPP's leaders were stonewalling anything. We've been at several meetings back to back. We've had memos like the chair just mentioned. It's kind of difficult especially when I'm trying to schedule a meeting that's open to the public, to get a quorum right now of the commissioners. Just this past week, we tried to schedule next week's closed meeting, and we're very close to not having a quorum. So now if one person decides to not attend next week, we would have to push that meeting off another week, which also affects the cases that have sustained findings that are due. So this right here I think is a stopgap solution. And we'll continue to be working and, thinking about ways that we can move forward, but we do need that implementation ordinance or something to be able to get new commissioners.
But how are we going to put pressure on them, Charmaine? I know you guys have been doing all that stuff. It's just not working.
I think we should adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, but I was going to say, Nancy, you also volunteered to do some research on your side. You were going to talk to a neighbor of yours who I believe was a former city council member, partially because you want to ask that. Have you had a chance to do any of that? You were going to do that research and bring it back to us, which I'm not aware if you've done that yet.
No, I have not.
So we've all tried. I mean, and I kind of agree with Nancy. I mean, with Charmaine. We've done a lot. We've tried to go out there. We've tried to make sure the city council knows what the concerns are. It is city government. We can only force them to do so much. We can't force them to, hire people faster. We can't get them to write that ordinance faster. We can push them, but that's all we can do. So we are trying. And I kind of agree with Charmaine. I do think it's a little bit unfair when you keep saying we're not doing anything or stonewalling. We're all open to ideas and suggestions. If anyone has them, I will put it on any open meeting agenda for us to discuss. I mean, we're not trying to stonewall anything. We want this to be done as fast as possible, just like the community does. So, it's a little frustrating when I hear you say that we're not doing enough, because we're doing a lot, and
I don't mean to be saying you didn't do enough, Brandon. You've done everything you know to do. All I'm saying is it's not working, and we have to find something else in another way. I just think taking their word for it that they understand the issue when they don't do anything about it is a problem.
Well, it is a problem, but I have to admire what Brandon and Charmaine and Doug are trying to do. Is you can only push them so far, and you're not going to push. And this is city government 101. And we have to be patient. And one thing is, I don't have a whole lot of patience, but it's just, you know, they are pulling out all of the stops, and I really appreciate their due diligence. But I'm like you, Nancy. I am frustrated by this whole process. But anyway, it kind of is what it is, and I'm going to have to accept it. It's like the Immaculate Conception. I never understood that either, but I've accepted it. So anyway,
Can we adjourn?
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So,
Yes, please.
Okay, all those in favor, any objections? Seeing no objections, we stand adjourned.